The Murder of Martha Moxley is a case that blends the unsettling world of small-town violence with the intrigue of high-profile connections. On the evening before Halloween in 1975, the 15-year-old from Greenwich, Connecticut, was brutally killed near her home. The case would go unsolved for decades, eventually becoming entangled with one of America's most prominent families, the Kennedys. With twists involving privilege, secrecy, and justice delayed, the story of Martha Moxley's murder continues to fascinate and haunt those who hear it. But what really happened that night? And how did it take decades to seek justice for a bright young girl whose life was stolen too soon? The life of Martha Moxley. Martha Moxley was born on August 16, 1960, in San Francisco, California, but her family relocated to Greenwich, Connecticut when she was 14. Greenwich was an affluent suburb, known for its manicured lawns, sprawling estates, and a reputation for safety. Martha's family settled in the exclusive Belle Haven neighborhood, where many wealthy and influential families lived. Martha was known for her bubbly personality, kindness, and natural beauty. She was well liked by her peers and enjoyed a life filled with the typical activities of a teenager: sports, friends, and school. Her charm and lively spirit made her stand out, and she quickly became part of a close-knit group of friends in her new town. But beneath the idyllic surface of Belle Haven, tensions and secrets simmered, and Martha's life would soon be tragically cut short. The night of mischief. On October 30th, 1975, known as Mischief Night, Martha joined friends for a night of teenage fun. Mischief Night was a local tradition where teenagers would play harmless pranks like toilet papering houses and egging cars. That evening, Martha and her friends spent time at the Skakel household, a prominent family in Belle Haven with ties to the Kennedy dynasty. The Skakels were cousins to the Kennedys, and their wealth and influence were well known in the community. The Skakel home was a popular gathering spot, and two brothers, Michael and Thomas Skakel, were among the teens hanging out with Martha that night. Witnesses recall Martha flirting with both brothers, a detail that would later become a significant part of the case. At around 9:30 p.m., Martha was last seen leaving the Skakel property, reportedly to walk back to her house just a few hundred yards away. She never made it home. The following day, on Halloween morning, Martha's lifeless body was discovered under a tree on her family's property. She had been brutally beaten with a golf club, and the shaft of the club had been used to stab her. The murder weapon was traced back to a set owned by the Skakel family, immediately drawing suspicion toward members of the household. The initial investigation. The Greenwich Police Department launched an investigation, but from the start, the case was plagued by challenges. The Skakel family's wealth and connections seemed to shield them from intense scrutiny. Although both Michael and Thomas Skakel were questioned, their accounts of the evening were inconsistent. Thomas, who was 17 at the time, admitted to being with Martha shortly before she disappeared, but claimed he had nothing to do with her murder. Michael, who was 15, initially stated he had been at a cousin's house during the critical hours, but later changed his story. Despite these discrepancies, no arrests were made. The police were criticized for their handling of the case, with accusations of incompetence and favoritism toward the Skakels. For years, the investigation stalled. The murder of Martha Moxley became a cold case, but her family never gave up hope of finding justice. The Kennedy connection. What made the case even more intriguing was its connection to the Kennedy family. The Skakels were related to Ethel Skakel Kennedy, the widow of Robert F. Kennedy. This link brought national attention to the murder and raised questions about whether the Skakels' privileged status had influenced the investigation. The Kennedy family's shadow loomed large over the case, with some speculating that their influence had stifled efforts to prosecute the Skakels. Breakthroughs and revelations. The case remained cold until the 1990s, when renewed interest led to new developments. In 1991, author Dominic Dunn published a fictionalized account of the murder, which reignited public curiosity. This was followed by journalist Mark Fuhrman's 1998 book, Murder in Greenwich, which directly implicated Michael Skakel as Martha's killer. Fuhrman, a controversial figure himself, argued that Michael's erratic behavior and changing alibis pointed to his guilt. Around this time, new witnesses came forward, claiming that Michael had made incriminating statements over the years. One acquaintance reported that Michael had drunkenly confessed, saying, "I'm going to get away with murder. I'm a Kennedy." Another witness recalled Michael saying he had been in a tree outside Martha's window, masturbating, shortly before she was killed, a claim that contradicted his earlier alibi. These revelations prompted a grand jury investigation, and in 2000, Michael Skakel was arrested and charged with Martha Moxley's murder nearly 25 years after the crime. The trial and conviction. Michael Skakel's trial began in 2002, and it was as sensational as expected. The prosecution argued that Michael, jealous of his brother Thomas's flirtation with Martha, had killed her in a fit of rage. They presented witnesses who recounted Michael's confessions and highlighted his history of erratic and violent behavior. The defense, meanwhile, claimed that the evidence was circumstantial and that the case relied too heavily on unreliable witness testimony. They also argued that the media attention and public fascination with the Kennedy connection had biased the investigation and trial. Despite these arguments, Michael Skakel was convicted of Martha Moxley's murder in June 2002 and sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. The verdict was a significant moment for Martha's family, who had waited decades for justice, legal battles, and controversy. Michael Skakel's conviction was far from the end of the story. Over the next several years, his legal team launched a series of appeals, arguing that he had been denied a fair trial. In 2013, a judge ruled that Skakel's defense attorney had been ineffective and ordered a new trial. Skakel was released on bail in 2013 after serving 11 years in prison. The decision to grant Skakel a new trial was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a failure of the justice system, while others believed it was a necessary step to ensure fairness. In 2018, Connecticut Supreme Court upheld the ruling for a new trial, effectively vacating Skakel's conviction. However, prosecutors announced in 2020 that they would not retry the case, leaving Martha Moxley's murder officially unsolved. The legacy of the case. The murder of Martha Moxley remains one of America's most infamous cold cases, not just because of its brutality, but also because of the high-profile connections and decades of legal twists. For Martha's family, the loss of their bright, kind-hearted daughter is a pain that time has not eased. The case has also sparked broader discussions about privilege and accountability. The tragic story of Martha Moxley remains a haunting chapter in American true crime history. The unresolved nature of the case leaves many questions unanswered. Was Michael Skakel truly guilty, or was he a convenient scapegoat in a case overshadowed by privilege and power? Does the truth lie elsewhere, hidden behind decades of speculation and legal battles? Martha's story serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the complexities of justice. Her family's relentless pursuit of the truth stands as a powerful testament to love and determination. If you're intrigued by unsolved mysteries and true crime stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe. Together, we can keep these important stories alive and honor the memory of the victims.